Hello everyone, Mr. Walker here. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to make a couple of graphs using Microsoft Excel. I'll show you how to make both a bar graph and a line graph because they are used for different purposes. For a bar graph, it's when your manipulated variable involves different and discrete conditions. And when you're doing a line graph, it's when there is kind of a continuous trend with the manipulations. So to give you an example, we could take a look at the various different provinces in Canada. That would be the manipulated variable. And we could take a look at the physical size of those provinces. That would be the responding variable. And we would use a bar graph for that sort of thing. We could also take a look at, say, the province of Alberta over the years. And here we would see a continuous trend year after year. And because there is a trend for year after year, that would mean that we would use a line graph in that case. So the first one that I'll do here is going to be a bar graph. I've already set up in the table here just where I'm going to put in the title to show you what a proper title would look like. You wouldn't actually put in MV, but that stands for manipulated variable, and RV, which stands for responding variable. But I just put them in here for columns A and B so you would know which one was which when I in fact do put them into cells starting off with number 3. So in number 3, what we're going to take a look at here for my example is going to be trees. And it's going to be the type of tree. When you are indicating the variables, please make sure that you're very, very specific. One word usually does not cut it, so you would not just put trees. Otherwise, I would say, what about the trees? So here it specifically is the type of tree that we are taking a look at. That is our manipulated variable. Responding variable, we're going to take a look at the height of trees. And because there are units that go along with this one, you always need to include the units both in your table and in your graph. So here I'm going to have it in meters, put it in brackets. Those are the units. I'll come back to the title a little bit later, but I'm just going to put some data in here for us. So we'll take a look at 6 different trees. So the first one's going to be the white spruce. And we'll put that one in at 24 meters. I don't need to put the meters in the table now because I have it at the top. I already have it here in my heading, so I don't need to put that one in again. Next one that we'll take a look at that I'll put in here is lodgepole pine. Lodgepole pine, average height at maturity, about 45 meters. Next one, Douglas fir. Big tree, average height at maturity, about 85 meters. They're along the coast of Canada, British Columbia. Next one is the aspen poplar. Around 30 meters. Cottonwood. And about 60 meters. And the last one that I'll put in here, the trembling aspen. That we'll have at about 15 meters. So now we have all of our data. Now I can go ahead and actually make my graph. So this is how you would have the table set up as well. When you do your table, you would have to have headings for the columns. Again, you would not put in MV, manipulated, or responding variable, but you would have to give me a descriptive title. So your descriptive title for both your table and for your graph, it can be exactly the same, but it does need to include both the manipulated and the responding variable. So here for my title, I'm just going to change it from title, and I'm going to put in how the height of trees varies depending upon the type of tree. So now we have in our title a very descriptive title. Never give me this versus that. So it would not be tree versus height. It would not be type of tree versus height of tree. It does need to be descriptive. And we could even have more in here. We can have things like trees of Canada, how the height of various Canadian trees varies depending upon the type of tree. Anyway, this is our descriptive title, and that will be fine. And we can use that same title for both the table and for the graph as well. It'll work perfectly fine. So now, for making our graph, the only thing that I'm going to select is my responding variable, and I'm not going to select any of the text. I'm just selecting the numbers, nothing else. I only want the numbers. I'm going to go up to Insert and over to where it has the graphs, and I want a bar graph. Here they have it here as a column graph as well, but we call it a bar graph, which are the vertical bars. That's what we want, various different ones. I'm just going to pick the first one here, the simplest one. And there we go. We already have, just like that, our information that is plotted. So this is looking pretty good. This is correctly plotted. We can see along the y-axis, which is the responding variable. We already do have numbers in here, which is a reasonable scale. It goes up by 10. It doesn't go any higher than 90 because our tallest tree, which is the Douglas fir, is only 85 meters. So there would be no point in this going up to 200 or 500 or 1,000. It only needs to go up as high as is necessary. If you take a look at the x-axis, though, we do have a problem with the manipulated variable. We only have 1 through 6, and what we want to do first of all is we want to actually put in the names of the trees. So you don't need to manually do that. Notice that I just selected. I'll deselect, and now I'll go back and I'll just select the chart. And once I've selected the chart, I'm going to go up to the top here where it says Select Data. Okay, Select Data. Click on that. On the right-hand side, it says Horizontal Axes Labels, and that's what we want to change. We want to edit that. Now in this window, Axes Label Range, I'm just going to go over to my manipulated variable. Again, I'm not going to select the heading, the type of tree. I only want to select my 6 different trees. Take a look at the graph. As soon as I do that, it automatically changed and put in the names of the trees for me. Okay, I'm just going to say OK. Say OK again, and it's looking really good. Now I need to label the axes. So this is indicating what each of the different bars are, the 6 different trees, but I still haven't labeled what that is. It's the type of tree. I still haven't labeled the y-axis, which is the height of the trees, and I still don't have a title. So I'm going to select the graph again, click on it a couple of times. And then I'll go up to the far left-hand side where it says Add Chart Elements. So in the chart elements, let's give the axes some titles first of all. So the primary horizontal axes. Remember, it's always the manipulated variable that goes on the x-axis. Again, you need to be just as descriptive with your graph as with your table. So just like we had in the table, it can be exactly the same. It is the type of tree. We don't have any units here. You don't need to stick units in, and we can see that that's been changed for us. We're going to do the same thing for the y-axis, primary vertical axis. This is our responding variable, and that is the height of the trees. So here we do have units, so make sure, just like with the table, that you have the units in. That is necessary. If there are units, you need to indicate those units, and we can see that that's been inserted in as well. Click on the chart or graph one more time up to the Add Chart Elements. Now we want to give the chart a title, and the title, I'm going to put it at the top. In reality, true scientific graphs, if you take a look at scientific journals, they are at the bottom. I'm not sure if I can drag that to the bottom. It doesn't look like it's going to let me do that, but that's fine. We'll leave it right at the top, and it's just going to be exactly the same as what we have for our title that went along with the table as well. So how the height of trees vary depending upon the type of tree. And there's our very nice graph that we have. So now you can take this graph, you can copy it into a Word document if you like, or you can print it off And that's exactly what we're looking for. Again, double checking again. We have all of our data plotted. We have a reasonable scale for our numbers for the responding variable. We have labeled the X manipulated and the Y responding variables, included the units in where units are necessary, and we have a descriptive title. For your table, it really would look exactly the same as this, only you wouldn't actually put in MV and RV for the manipulated and responding variable. Let's just do one more quickly. Let's do one for a line graph now. So we'll just delete all of this information, get rid of all of that. Our title is going to be different for this one as well. In this case, the manipulated variable instead of the type of tree, let's go with the age of the tree. So as the age of the tree increases, what we're going to find is that the height of the tree is going to increase as well. So here, manipulate variable, the age of the tree, responding height of tree in meters once again. So now we will have how the age of trees, I can go back in there. I'm not having much luck deleting it. That's okay. I'll just leave that the same in here, and I'll change it when I get to my graph. So age of the trees, we'll keep it nice and simple here. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go for 10 years. And the height of the tree, and we should really make this a specific kind of tree because different trees, it'll be different growth rates that they do have. So let's go with age of aspen poplar trees. And the height of, again, I should probably put in here aspen poplar trees as well. They grow fairly quickly. Let's put it in here in meters. And let's go with 0.5 for our first year after 1 year. Just randomly picking some numbers in here. Okay, let's go with that. So just like I did with my bar graph, the only thing I'm going to select is all of the numbers for the responding variable. I'm going to go to Insert at the top. Now I want a line graph. Okay, line graph. I'm just going to once again pick the first one here. There's our graph. We have it. We're just missing the title, labeling the axes, and putting the units in as well. So it's nicely plotted for us. We don't actually need to change the x-axis numbers here because that's exactly what I do have for the age of the tree. So that is fine in this case. So I can go right up to the chart elements, axes titles, horizontal, and this is going to be the age of the aspen poplar trees. And now that I actually think about it, we do have some units here that I'll have to put in. So this is going to be in years. I do need to put that in. So that'll change that right away. And I'm going to go back up to the table because now I need to fix that as well because I forgot to put years in here as well. So we'll also need that. Now we're good to go with that. We can go back to our table. If you don't see what you're looking for at the top here when you're on the table, you can click on the chart design and then we'll get that back again. adding the elements. So it's the axes titles vertical that we're looking for here. And this is the height of the trees. This is in meters again. We have some units, so we need to put that in. And finally, one more time, the add chart elements. Now we want the chart title. We'll put it above. And we'll put it in as this here. Okay, so how the height of the aspen poplar tree. That should be changes. With H. Okay, so we do have the age of the trees. We have the height of the trees. Both of those are included in the title. There's our descriptive title. And there is our graph, our nice line graph that goes along with this data.